Thank you for joining us. Now, in this passage, it's going to say, after these things. And so we need to say, okay, what are these things? Well, these things was Jesus healing somebody at one of the porticos at the temple. And Bethesda, there was like a pool there. And he did it on the Sabbath, and he got criticized for it. And they tried to argue him down. And of course, you can't argue successfully with God in the flesh, you know. And the point that he made was, your issue is that you don't believe God's word. And you don't believe God's word because you don't want to. So now, chapter 6, starting with verse 1 and going through verse 4, it says, after these things, Jesus went away to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, or the Sea of Tiberias. That's what the Romans named it. A large crowd followed him because they saw the signs which he was performing on those who were sick. You know, so some of them is, wow, this might be the Messiah. And then others, wow, maybe he'll heal one of us. You know, it may be just curiosity, but the feeling I get is they probably had needs and they were following him for that reason. But hey, it doesn't say why. Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat down with his disciples. Now, the Passover, the feast of the Jews, was near. Now, from this point on, John describes feeding 5,000 people with just 5 loaves and 2 fish from a little boy's lunch. Okay, a miracle. Clearly a miracle. And then the rest of John chapter 6, he goes to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, and a lot of them are still there, and he starts talking to them about him being the bread of life that came down from heaven. So I don't know how many times I would read this passage and I'd go, oh yeah, this is going to be the feeding of the 5,000. And went right on through verse 4 where it says, the Passover was near. There's a point that John is making by saying the Passover was near. What did they do at the Passover? Well, of course, they ate the Passover lamb, but they also ate unleavened bread. Unleavened bread. And so in the passage later, in John chapter 6 later, he says, I am the bread of life that came down from heaven. Whoever eats of this bread will never hunger, and he who drinks my blood will never thirst. He's saying, like you receive food into your belly, you need to receive me into your heart to be saved. And so not only was he about to feed 5,000 families, frankly, probably mostly men, but it said women and children were there. Not only is he about to miraculously do that, but he's going to make a point with it. The Passover's near. The Apostle Paul makes it very clear that Passover is fulfilled in Jesus Christ. In 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7, he says, Christ, our Passover, has been sacrificed. You can't get any plainer than that. And so he's saying, I'm the bread of life that came down from heaven, and after I give myself on Calvary's cross and rise from the dead, you have to receive my spirit into yourself by faith. Ask him to come in. The answer is always yes. Have a great day.